Voters will choose Honolulu's mayor and prosecutor on the same day as the statewide primary election. City council members voted today to hold the election September 18th instead of waiting until the November 2nd general election. At today's city council meeting, one of the contenders for mayor urged council members to set the election for the earlier date. KITV4's Denby Fawcett reports.
There's a lot of reasons that this ought to go in the primary, largely because the people should have somebody who's elected for them, not appointed to them by the current mayor.
Carlisle was referring to Kirk Caldwell, who became acting mayor Tuesday after Mufi Hanneman stepped down to run for governor. Carlisle said if the election were held later, in November, Caldwell would benefit.
For him, there's a huge advantage for him to stay there longer because, one, he'll get to be acting mayor longer, and two, he'll be able to ultimately to put it off to try and get more funds raised and have something else. So in my opinion, yes, this is good for him for a political reason.
It's really unfortunate that this has gotten so political. We should be doing what is right, and that is to allow the people to select and to fill a vacancy as soon as possible.
Caldwell said mayoral candidates and councilmen, Rod Tam and Donovan Dela Cruz, have a conflict of interest, that they would also benefit from setting the election date later because they're trailing in the polls.
Because of political perceptions that I may have a conflict, I have decided to excuse myself.
Dela Cruz also recused himself. Nestor Garcia pushed for having the mayor's election later in November.
For that, we should give people more time to understand where each of the candidates are coming from on the key issues of the day.
In the end, only Lee Donahue and Ikaika Anderson continued to push for having the mayor's race later in November. The 5 candidates declared in the race so far are Caldwell, Carlisle, Dela Cruz, Tam, and engineering professor Panos Preveduros.
All right, Denby, Peter Carlisle is saying that acting mayor Kirk Caldwell wanted an election later in November, that Caldwell would have benefited from it. What did Caldwell have to say after finding out the election will be now in September?
Caldwell told us he accepts the council's decision. Caldwell said he's moving ahead and focusing on the race and is working as hard as he can to let the public know more about him before the now decided September 18th mayor's election. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Denby.